Okay, I'm Jimmy Mangan, retired jockey, trainer now at the moment. I was born here in Curraheen in Conna, in County Cork, on the Cork-Waterford border. And there was 8 of us in family. And my father always had piney pointers and horses. And my mother came from the town of Youghal, and she was really a towny woman. And she knew nothing about animals, but in the end she was the greatest woman of all times, that she was so knew everything about horses. And I'd say that's really and truly, that's where Jane has picked it up really. You know, she was a school teacher herself, and she was doing public speaking and fashion shows and everything like that. And how she was managed, I'll never know, because when she came up here after marrying my father, there was nobody had water in the houses that time, and everybody they used to be drawing the water. And I remember my mother telling us she got in straight away. She got somebody to bore for the water, and my uncle came over, and he said to my father, "What the hell are you doing there?" He said, "With that machine." "Oh God," he said, "she's boring for water or something." "Oh jeez," he said, "whatever you got her," he said, "she'll break you." Little did he know she made us. Yeah, she was a complete genius. But now, saying that, she worked hard. We were all young. She had 8 of us in family, and I remember we were inside in bed at night, and you'd hear the tap going outside. All the neighbours, when we got the water, they all used to be coming with their buckets and churns, and they'd be filling the water. Jesus, it was unreal when I think about it. It should have been filmed, really, you know. And everybody, you know, that was the way life was. And you know, now I will have to say we were probably the last in the area here to get a television, because my father did not believe in them televisions. Yeah, the wireless was what we had. Listening to the matches there of a Sunday, me all hearing them, and beyond the radio. And that's the way it was. It's an incredible area around here for horses. You know, there's an awful lot of people breed horses. They race horses. Liam Burker's up the road, and Sean Ahern, and look, I'm probably leaving people out now. And the Queelies are down the road, and look, there's people I'm surrounded by. You know, Ratbarry Studies just over the road. Paul Cashman trains his piney pointers, and the Beecher Studies down the road. So there's broodmares, and when the season starts, there's nothing but horse boxers passing, and they come up from your country, Wexford, and everywhere. And because this is, look, there's some great stallions around here, you know, and you know, Coolmore always top class horses for us, and Ratbarry the same, and all the studs around here. Yeah. But look, as a fella said to me one time, any stallion can make a foal, but he says the broodmares make the race horses, you know. And it's so true, because if you have a good broodmare, she will breed them to a donkey nearly, you know. It's just incredible, really, you know. There was always horses here. My father always had a broodmare or 2 and race horses, and he bred the champion hull winner, Door Knocker. He won the champion hull back in 1956, a long time ago, 56, and he kept a full sister of Door Knockers for breeding, and she was a mare called the 7th sister, and she went on to breed pretty good horses. Peter McCreary, a lot of them. I said used to train Lord Hansel, Master Hansel. They used to be ridden by Ted Welch. Ted was the top amateur at that time. I remember going into the Grange stud with my father, and we were very small at the time, and my father always went into the likes of Even Money and 14, and they were all stallions in there with John Magnus' father. And Jimmy Flynn was the night watchman there, and he worked in Grange stud at the time, and they was 4 the mares there as well. And Jimmy Flynn I think he was from Kinsale, but he was there all his life, and he was a great man. And of course, you know yourself, when a fella would have a filly foal, you'd be very disappointed. Oh, and he'd say, "Missus, don't be disappointed," he said. "A filly out of that mare is worth as much as a colt." and Jimmy'd get a stand and everybody'd be happy. He was a great character. Unfortunately, he got killed after his Honda 50 one night in the town of Fermoy. But saying that, look, he had a great life and he was a lovely character, and he had a brother called Mick, and Mick always raced horses as well. People had nothing that time. My father had that time. Nobody had. CIE used to collect horses to go to the races. My first winner was in Lismore, a mare called Swan of the Bride, our local river here, and she was a mare by Orchidist, and I remember who I beat actually was one of the greatest jockeys of all time, Connie Vaughan. Connie was a super rider. That'll tell you how good the mare was when I only beat him a short head or something. But it was an evening meeting in Lismore, all evening meetings that time of a Wednesday, and there was a bar. I remember there was a bar, and I got more club arms that night, and there was a mighty session, my first winner, and the mare was sold into Francis Flood, and Francis won several long distance chases, and Frank Berry rode her, and I progressed from there slowly. My second winner, I think, was a mare called Rockaway Rose. It was down below in Cashel. In the race course, the stand is still there in the field in Cashel, and I remember I went off to the front, and Billy McLennan was riding a very fancied horse called Kilmore Boy for Pierce Dalton, and barely held on and beat Billy McLennan. And I started to get a few outside rides from after that, because she wasn't sold because she was small, and we raced her away, and she was my first winner actually on the rules in Wexford. I was only about 16, yeah. I remember the gear wasn't that great with me at the time. Me Wellingtons, I was riding me Wellingtons, and I had a helmet, and there was a hole in the top of the helmet, and if a wet day the rain had come in the top. But you wouldn't be allowed inside the gate of a race course today with the equipment I had. But and rightly so too, rightly so. Safety is everything today. And but look, I was happy, and that's what we had. And my first winner then was down in Wexford in handicap hurdle, and we went down in a CIE lorry the same day, and my uncle, who was a priest over in Corsham or Bristol or somewhere over there, and he was over in Wexford, and my mother was anxious to meet him. So I remember my mother and myself, we were on the back of the CIE lorry with the horse. There was a space empty there, and we were able to sit in a bale, and we went down to Wexford, and there was 3 local winners the same day, 2 from Tallow and 1 from just a mile out the road here in Conna, where I am. John Connors had a mare called Tallalas. Dermot Cantlin's father, Dr. Cantlin, he had a mare in training with John Murphy above in the Curragh, and she was called Tindygaddle. And I had a mare called Rockaway Rose, and I beat a hot pot down in Wexford, a horse called Tom Brack, ridden by Mick Fudlin. And I remember, I can't think who the commentator was the same day. It was a 3-mile race, but and it was the other way around now. It's changed now, and the commentator said I was winning, but luckily enough I knew I had another round to go, and anyway my brother ran out in the course of miracle. He wasn't knocked down, to say you have another round, drive on, and all excited. But anyway, we beat a hot pot called Tom Brack. And I progressed from there, really. We'd have only 3 or 4. That's all, because we hadn't much, and he had always sell. He sold the Prince Ansel horses as 3-year-olds to Peter McCreary, and they were never. The only reason Rockaway Rose was kept, she was only a small filly, But we didn't had a good mare. I came along. June's friend. She was by Loddon Sow, who stood down at Beecher Stud You know, I kind of skipped there a while ago because the stallions then from Coolmore, they went down to Bobby McCarthy's Beecher stud and out to Dunmahan stud, out to Dannoon. And we had a small middle mare, June's friend. She was on the Cork Examiner, she was on the Irish Field. Nobody was interested. Couldn't sell her. Small mare. No one wanted her. And with another mare called Wonderful Lady. She was as small. We got 800 quid for her. Danny Bulger up in Kilkenny bought her. And so we raced June's friend, and we had a full brother to June's friend as well. He was a big 3-year-old, and Josh Gifford came into the yard one day. Josh Gifford was a main man around here, I think from Paddy Flynn from I was bringing. And big horse, 16, 203, you'd never say he was a full brother to June's friend. June's friend was a small, and he was, anyway, Josh Gifford, I remember I trotted him and out up and down the road for Josh Gifford, and had the mercy in the man, and he gave me a $5. Jesus, that was a lot of money that time. Christ, I said, I pity more fellas like him don't call, you know. And I often told his son Nick that that man looked after me. He gave me a $5. Jesus, $5 a lot of money. But anyway, unfortunately, the bugger was he wasn't much good. If he was any, I remember his name. If he was any good, he was obviously no good. But Joan's friend went on to be a great pointer. But unfortunately, at the time, P.P. Hogan was the king of the pointers down here. He had Underway, he had a horse called Annie Crack. Niall Madden used to ride for him, and Ted Welch used to ride for him. And I knew the colours well from behind. I could never pass him. I'd always be second to him. But look, she ran 7 times one year, Sunday after Sunday. She won 4, and she was third, or second the other 3. It was an incredible little mare. Heart of a lion, you know. So she went up then in 1981 for the Thyestes Chase. And look, I wasn't a hectic rider myself, so we got Jackie Cullen, Lord of Mercy, Jackie Cullen to ride her. And Jackie Cullen won the Thyestes for my father. And I think he beat a horse called John Hayden's horse, and then a horse called Mount Rivers was third. And I remember my father, the local doctor, Dr. Dunman, brought him into the bar and bought him a double whiskey, a double. And of course, he didn't leave it after him, or he didn't spill any of it anyway. And so the only night we had to lift him into bed. And I said, thanks for Christ, we'll have a rest now in the morning. Jesus, he was up earlier that morning, the following morning. But anyway, we went up for the Kilcullen Hull again a couple of weeks later, up to Naas, and Michael O'Hare, Lord of Mercy, him as well. And he said, she turned into the straight, and she went a couple of lanes clear, jumping the last. And some people, Michael O'Hare said, some people said she won the Thyestes, that was a fluke. And more people said it wasn't a fluke. And well, she proving today that it wasn't a fluke. She was a great little mare, and she gave us great satisfaction. She bred a Connor Rambler. I tell you, she bred a horse, 2 foals, 2 super foals. And the following day, we would have to call the vet to them. And I remember top vet, Christy Condon. Christy is still alive today, and a good top vet. And Jesus, the waterworks would give them trouble. And anyway, Christy done an operation, and I remember him after the first fall anyway, he died after a few days. And you mind that he was by deep run. But anyway, Christy, I remember Christy saying to me, Jimmy, that'll never again happen. You needn't worry, that'll never again happen. You. So we went back again to deep run. And Jesus, didn't it happen again the following year? Another colt. Same story. Bang, did. Anyway, that's the way it goes. But and we went back again the year after, and touchwood, cracking colt. Peter Magnan, no, that was another. Peter Magnan bought one horse off of us. And P.P. Hogan had him, and he was a very good little horse, won a lot of races, yeah. I started riding back in 72, and look, there wasn't many horses running that time. The same horse could run twice in the one day that time, you know, and it was nearly impossible. I'd get a few rides from my father, and next thing the animal would be sold. And I rode a lot for great people. I rode for Walter Helly, and I would safely say I rode a lot of winners for him, and I'd safely say I never had a faller for him. He was the greatest man. Johnny Roach, whose son Dave and Paul are with, I'm not sure about Paul, but David is one of the head men down at Henry Bromheads. And there was a great Johnny, so you'll win in this film. When Johnny Roach would tell you they'd win, they would win. And they wouldn't fall. My God, I don't think I ever rode a faller for him. Yeah. I rode a Hunter Chase winner in Punchestown for him. And who else did I rode for? Tommy Wade then. And I suppose one of the best horses I ever rode was Von Trapp. As a 4-year-old, I was going in 1980 when I was heading for the Irish National. I rode a winner for Eddie Kearns below in Clonmel Point, and I had no more rides, and we were trying to get away because I had the 2 horses in the box to get to Fairy House the night before for the Irish National. And I was going out, and things weren't going lucky for Northern. I sent Tommy Wade on the day. He had lost a few good horses. And I was after changing my clothes, and I was going away out, and he said to me, "Where are you going?" he said. I said, "I'm going off the Fairy House." He says, "Going back in there and bring your britches." He said, "You're ready for me." And sat up, and he said to me in the ring, "This horse won't come off the bridle." He said, "Just keep him covered up. And when you come near the last, give him a bit of light," he said, "and he'll take off." And exactly as the man said, he did take off. And fortnight after, or maybe more, up for a winners of one in Bartlemy, and I had the ride again. And he said to me, "Same thing now today, don't appear until around the last." He says, and Jesus, my fingers used to be yellow. I couldn't straighten them from trying to hold his horse. What a horse he was. He was by Normandy. And he won the canter again. And I said, "Jesus, he's a right horse." But anyway, rode him a few times after that, and I have to say I lost the race one day in him down in Clonmel. Ted Welch. Ted was a super rider, you know. Ruby and Katie didn't pick it up off the trees or off the ground. And Ted beat me, but I was riding to instructions, and anyway, Ted was gone when I woke up. And that's the way it goes. Finished second. But anyway, he went over to Michael Oliver then, and Michael Oliver, a great friend of mine, and he won over in Cheltenham for Michael Oliver. Yeah, it was every bit as good as today. There was horses that went on to win in Cheltenham. I rode another horse for Walter Helly, and super horse. I can't think of his bloody name now, but anyway, he went on and he won over in Cheltenham as well. There was some, look, you know, P.P. Hogan had horses that time. My God, above, you know, Underway was an old horse when he went for the Galway Plate, and I think he finished second. Like, and they were the kings around here that time. When P.P. Hogan turned up, that was it. You'd be second, you wouldn't beat him, because they were top class horses, really, you know. Around here, Dungarvan was always the first point. And we had a few more horses in training that time, and we'd be riding the horses up the road, and you'd meet a fella in a cottage, and he'd say, "Are you going to Dungarvan?" He wouldn't ask you, "Are you going pointing?" And to Dungarvan, you'd be going shopping. "Are you going to Dungarvan?" That's all he'd say, because that's where everybody headed for Dungarvan that time, the Points. And they were the first, and next thing they started earlier. And but every Wednesday I remember I was going to school, and little did I know, I was writing my own notes to say that my father wanted me at the races, and I was get off of a Wednesday. I remember going out to Kildare of a Wednesday, and the races that time were held in Bill Gallagher's. Bill's daughter was married to David Magner, Geraldine, and next thing they moved up the road to Vaughan's, but it was everything was over Windsor at that time, and Lismore was always the evening meetings, and look, that was the way it was. Wednesday was the day. There was great crowds that time. There was. Everybody, I suppose farming was different, and they just loved all crack, penny pints, and but if you had a map of Wednesday today, you'd have nobody, and that's the way it goes. You had to move with the times, and they did, and penny pints, and then of course the numbers grew. Then the numbers of horses grew, and Sundays and everything. And I remember one time when I was my mother again, we were up all night. I think we had 4 mares foaled. We were foaling outside mares at the time. And I went into Fermoy the following day, and I rode in 14 races. 14. I remember I could hardly stand after, but that's the way that time. There was horses came, and there was it was great, but it put some people off of racing. This race has gone 4 ways. This race has gone 3 ways. I will go back to Lismore of a bad day, and I was riding a horse for John Joe Welch. And anyway, I turned upside down going up the far side, and I brought down John Fowler. And there was no stewarding at fences that time. It was a wicked bad day anyway. And I was knocked unconscious, so I'm told. And John Fowler, Lord of mercy, the man got killed for knocking a tree or something. And John rolled me out of the way. And other than that, I'd say I wouldn't be here today. He saved my life. He rolled me out of the way. Because I was right at the landing side of the fence, and the horses were coming around again, and there was no stewarding at fences. Like everything today is top class. We can say this and that about the Turf Club and all, but they really go through every detail. Sometimes you'd say too much, but never too much where safety is concerned, really. And John Fowler, look, Timmy O'Callaghan, Nicky D, they were the kings. I rode Timmy and Nicky were the toughest riders you could possibly meet around this circuit, If I had to say which was the toughest, because if they done what they done now, they'd be on holidays for a long time, but it was nearly easier to pass Timmy on the inside rather than the outside. And you'll say, Lord of mercy, poor Timmy, I was great friends with Timmy. And I said, Timmy, Johnny altered the bloody reins. You nearly done me down the outside. Jeez, he said, I didn't see it all. What a devil he was. And Nicky, if he had went on to be a professional, he would have been super. He was a super rider. I remember one day below in Dungarvan, and I was riding, I think, a horse for Walter Helly. And Nicky was on a horse for Tony Dunphy. Geez, whatever happened, did Nicky's iron leather break at the first fence? Christ, I said, I'm flying now. I have him now. I got in front of him, and anyway, I'd have a look back. He's still there. I said, Jesus, he's not gone yet. Anyway, because Nicky was like a king down in Dungarvan. Why wouldn't he be? He's from Dungarvan. And round the old course, rounded the home straight, and Jesus, up he comes on the outside. Whatever way he could move his leg, no iron, leather gone. Jesus, he beat me on the line. Well, he got a reception, and then he deserved every bit of it. He wore the whole 3 miles with 1 letter. How he fucking done it, I don't know. But Jesus, he done it. He did. Yeah. No, another one might throw the other iron, but he kept winning, and I used to look back, Jesus, he's still there. Yeah. And beat me on the line. Beat me easy enough in the finish. Yeah. Yeah, there were 2 great riders. Pat Healy was a great rider, and uncle to Paul Townsend, and Paul didn't pick it up off the ground. Timmy Townsend, Bob, Lord of mercy, Bob, they were great riders too. Bob worked for Mick O'Toole. Great characters. Look, I know I'm letting out a lot of them, but they were all great riders, really, Yeah. Unfortunately, my father died in 82, and I took out my trainer's license then. I took out the trainer's license from him, and I had great lads here at the time, and we used to have great crack. There was no all-weather gallops, and any farmer left the gate open, he mightn't leave it open again. We'd go in and have a gallop around and jump out over a few ditches. We had great riders, Edgar Buns and James Sheehan and Owen Gallagher. I probably didn't know a few now, but my own brother John was a great rider as well, and then. And look, we progressed from there. Next thing, I remember one day I went to the salesman there. I bought 3 horses, and they didn't cost me 5,000. Lucky enough they didn't, because I hadn't it anyway. And one of them turned out to be Stroll Home, and Owen Gallagher was the man who was riding, and we handicapped him over hulls first, but if you kissed his ass, he wouldn't win the lowest of a grade of a handicap hurdle. And next thing, he started winning a point, and next thing beaches, he started winning and winning. And we went down to Kinsale, the last meeting, and I met I met a 4-year-old here, and Owen Gallagher was my stable jockey, and he said, "Do you mind if I don't ride the 4-year-old for you?" And I said, "Why?" I said, "I'll ride the winner for another man." Jeez, I said, "I don't know, it's up to yourself. If you don't want to ride him, that's fine. But I think you're leaving the winner behind you." So anyway, he said, "No, I'm going riding the other floor." I said, "That's grand." And next thing, old Tom Costello came into the yard one day, and he said, "Jesus," he said, "you know that fellow up the road, I won't say his name now because it wouldn't be nice, but he said, he won't give the young fellow the ride in the 4-year-old, he said, and he's trying to win the title." Yeah, so he won't win it anyway. He says, "I'll win it, and I've no rider." He's joking me, he said. So he can ride my fellow if he wants to, and if he doesn't want to ride a winner, that's fine. "Oh, Jesus," he said, "do you have any?" So I gave him 3 or 4 rides the same day, and he was 4 or 5 behind going down to Kinsale. It was the final meeting. He ended up dead heating. It was a 2-day meet, and the horse that lifted him down was Stroll Home. Stroll Home got beaten. Anyway, a fortnight or 3 weeks later, I rang Dermot Costello, and I said to Dermot, "I'm running that horse below Tramore. If you want to ride him, you can ride him again." And he won a 4-horse race below Tramore. And I remember coming back to Conna that night, and if you want to meet the experts, you'll find them inside in the pub. They said, "You won the worst race that was ever ran below Tramore. How did you pick it out?" Stroll Home, and Stroll Home went on to win the Galway Plate. A horse called the Outback Way was second. He went on to Whitbread Gold Cup. And a horse called Race Relief was third. And I don't know what the 4th fellow was, but they won some race, and that was the bad 4-horse race. But anyway, I was training away that time, and I came to Galway, and I remember saying I rang Dermot Costello, and the gentleman that he is, I said, "Will you ride the horse in Galway?" He said, "Jimmy," he said, "I'll tell you now, I didn't ride a horse in a race since Tramore, the day I rode him. I'm not fit." And he said, "You'll get 1 chance of winning in Galway. You won't get a second one." So, I don't know, Paul Carberry was booked, and that was of a Tuesday, and I needn't tell you about Paul Carberry, what a horseman, one of the greatest. And he won the canter. And I said to Paul, "He's in again on Thursday." "Oh, jeez," he said, "run him again." Anyway, I went up again on the Thursday. "Now, Paul," I said, "he's 12 stone 6 today. 12 stone 6, and he was in your handy horse." He says, "Suppose you want to take your time." The other minute the flag was dropped, I said it was faster, I went. "Oh, Jesus," I said, "what's that?" Anyway, there's no point in talking to that fella. He wins in the canter again. And I remember saying to Paul when he hopped in on the Thursday, I said, "Paul, I'm going to train him now next year, especially for the Galway Plate." He said, "I'll ride him." Anyway, came around the next time anyway, the year after, 98, and Paul was riding for his uncle Attamore, had a horse called Feathered Gale or Feathered Leader, one of a pretty good horse. And I said, Paul, well, you're going to ride this horse for me in the Galway Plate? He said, I don't know, Jimmy. He said, Feathered Gale or Feathered Leader, I'm not sure which one it was now. He'll be a sure fella. Anyway, Paul couldn't ride for me. The new course in Cork opened that year. And, Jesus, some people rang, what agent rang for Richard Dunwoody. So down we went to Cork, and he won the canter with Richard Dunwoody. And I said to Richard Dunwoody, I'm going to win the Galway Plate with that horse. Do you want to ride him? Jesus, he said, I'd love to ride him. I said, around 10-7. Oh, Jesus, stop, he said. Forget it. No hope, he said. No hope. Oh, Jesus, I was back to square one then. Anyway, I met Carberry again, and I said to Carberry, I'm running the horse below in Killarney. You can ride him there now in Killarney, I said. And when you hop off him, you can tell me if you're going to ride him in the Galway Plate or if you're not. Because I'll have to be getting someone to get used to him. And Richard Dunwoody was riding the same race for Paddy Osborne, a horse called Cable Beach. And Cable Beach went off mad to the front. And Carberry there with his ass cocked. And next thing he eased up alongside Cable Beach the last and wins in the canter. And he comes in and he says, I'm riding him in the Galway Plate. So we stuck for Galway Boy, and what a master of a ride Carberry gave him. And I can always say, often says it to Aidan O'Brien, Jesus, I said, Aidan, when did you, one day I was down in Ballydoyle, thanks Stephen, Aidan, he brought me for a little tour of the place, and I was sitting in the front of the Jeep, and I said, Aidan, how long are you here? Jesus, he said, I couldn't tell you. He said, I don't know. Well, you weren't here in 97, and he says, I guess I beat in the Galway Plate. It must be the year after, so he said, I got out in, he said. What a great character. But anyway, he was second with a horse called Idiot's Venture, ridden by Charlie Swan. And I think Aidan won a point down in my own place on Idiot's Venture when he was an amateur. And of course, Carberry then, below at the start, he said to the boys, listen lads, he said, I'll meet you all in the hole in the wall, he said, and I'll buy you a drink after I'm winning this. He said, I'm going away now to the front. Oh Jesus, what a ride, what a day. And my God, what a reception we got. He was an incredible little horse and an incredible rider, Paul Carberry. Yeah, one of the greats. Gave up riding in 88 and was thought I was going to be the next Martin Pipe. You know yourself. And I tried a good few winners for what we had. I thought we got the best out of him. And thankfully a horse came to the yard to be trained, and a horse called Montys Pass. And he had failed the vet above it at the sales, and luckily enough the people that bought him from Kildare didn't hear the set being read out in a bad heart and mumble in the heart. And they wanted to throw him back, but they couldn't throw him back because it was read out. So he sent he was broken at John Joe Harding's, and he came to me in training, and I said, he's not too bad, you know, and no sign of any heart problem yet anyway. So we went to Dungarvan, and I said, he'll nearly win, I said. God above, and you know, great rider James Sheehan, great man, judge of pace, everything like that. But the horse didn't go at all for James. Ran a stinker. So there was long faces. And I had a good lad in the yard at the time called Davy Nugent. And Davy had no licence. And I said, get your licence, you'll be riding this horse. Davy was play hurling, cornerback for Ballysaggart. And anyone would tell you, you wouldn't get a score off of Davy. Fucking tough as nails. And I said, Davy, you'll be riding him now in Tella. And anyway, the day Tella came, make sure now, Davy, you have a good stick and don't spare it, because this horse has ability. And because Monty was a lazy devil, and he'd sit down all day if he was left, get away with it. I'd say, anyway, I often said if he was a human, he'd probably draw the door and he wouldn't ever do a day's work. But anyway, he down to Teller and he switched his tail, but my God, Davy didn't spare him and he won the canter. And I remember the same evening, Henrietta night, came up here to the yard and she photographed him and trotted him up and down the road, and she liked him and everything. And I said, Henrietta, I better tell you one thing now. I said, if you buy him, he won't, you can bet him for anything you like. I said, Barry's hat. How do you mean? She said. I said, he won't pass for his hat. Oh, Jesus, she says, put him back in. Don't go to me, so she said. And she took the lovely woman she is. She sent me on the photographs when I won the national with him. But anyway, we progressed and we won below on the only penny points that was around the Cork course. Davy won on him there again. I kept Davy up in him, and Hunters Chase in Cork. Davy's first ride in the Hunters Chase, I'd say. And now the Mercy and John Thomas McNamara, they jumped the last together, and Davy won on Montys Pass. And I remember John Thomas saying to me, Jesus, he said, where did you get that fella that's riding that horse? He said, I thought I'd pass him any time. He might be long and he might look awkward. By Jesus, I said, he's fit. Or you can say that, he said. But say, his career will be shot. He can't keep the weight down. He was too big. But I will say Davy Nugent made Montys Pass for me. He made a horse out of him. And we progressed from there, and next thing the phone rang one night, and Mike Futter from Belfast to know would Montys Pass be for sale. I said, I'll ring you back. I'll ring tomorrow night. I said, and I'll find out for you. And yeah, he was for sale, and the deal was done. And I just said to Mike Futter, I said, Mike again, I said, I better tell you, you can vet him for anything you like. I said, Barry's hat, he will not pass for his hat. Sure, he said, what do you want to vet for? I see, if you say he's healthy, that'll do me. Oh, he's healthy out. I said, oh, geez, I was only hoping he would drop dead the day after. And I said, where's he going? How do you mean? He said, where's he going? And don't you train horses? I said, I do. Train him, he said, for us. Oh, jeez. You know, because usually they left the yard and that was it. And we trained him away from Mike Futter. And we had a great time. We went to Cheltenham with him in the Mile May Fleet. And he finished 5th. And we went over to Liverpool for the Tottenham Trophy. And he finished 2nd to a horse of Willie Muns's. Time for a win, I think. He ran away from us. We had a tired horse. I was tired myself to mind the horse. But anyway, I said to the lads over in Liverpool, I said, lads, I'm coming back here next year now, I said, for the big one. Because the way the horse went over them fences, I said, this horse is made for Aintree. And I said, we're not going to Cheltenham next year, I can tell you that here now. And we trained him away for he in the meantime, because he won the Kerry National. He was 2nd in the Kerry National that year as well. Lord of mercy, Barry Garrick got knocked out, and Lord of mercy, Kieran Kelly, I hope he's in heaven, he rode him and gave him a great ride. He was right for Desi Hughes. And Kieran said to me, Jesus, Jimmy, if I knew him, I should have won. Kieran, I said, you gave him a great ride. Great ride. So Barry Garrick, he was there the following year, and he won the Kerry National. And we put him away in for the winter. I gave him a few runs over hurdles. Barry didn't ride him in Naas, Punchestown. Punchestown, 4-horse race. A horse belonged to Mouse Morris, won at Fort Island. And Paul Cabry rode him. And he finished 4th in a 4-horse race. But anyway, he'd never win a hurdle race if he was there until now. But anyway, Paul said to me, I think, Jimmy, he said he'd want another run. He's not fit enough with you yet. Paul, I said, he'll be fit by the time he gets to Liverpool. So his next run now is Liverpool. And touch wood, we struck for Liverpool. The ground was hard and everything was going according to plan. And Barry Gowsey rode him, and another master again to give him a brilliant ride, free passage all the way through. The only worry I had was, in the National that you could be brought down, a horse falling from because, in the meantime, a great rider died, John Crowley. And this was the winning of the National for me. I was below in Mottray, below in Middleton. And standing outside the door when I came out after paying my respects, because I rode a good few winners for John Crowley. John Kiley and Paddy Kiley. And I just walked over to Paddy Kiley because Paddy had ridden in so many Aintree Nationals. And I just said to Paddy, have you any tip for a fella having his first runner in the Grand National? He said, I have, he said. Oh, Jesus, I said, Paddy, what is it? Warden your riser, he said. Warden him, he said. Don't be asking for big ones. Because he said, them fences are big enough, besides making them any bigger. And do you know who told me that, he said? Was Pat Teff. Oh my God, I said. So we were out in the course, and I met Barry Garrett. We were walking the course. Lord of mercy, a man used to always go race with me, Moss Hartnett. Moss and myself were walking the course. And met Barry Garrett. And I said, Barry, I have one thing now to tell you. Don't be asking this horse for big ones. Let him alone. He'll jump him. I said, no problem. Don't ask for big ones. Anyway, halfway through the race, and here goes Barry saw a stride as he thought, and he wound up Montys Pass. And Jesus, didn't Monty put down again and hit the fence? I said, oh Jesus, is that man suffering from a loss of memory or what? So anyway, you know, things went on. He didn't do it again, and the horse won well. I knew him going out the last time. I said, geez, if he stays standing, he won't be beaten. And I remember coming in after and talking to Barry, what a great gentleman he is. And I said, Barry, you suffered from a loss of memory halfway through the race? Jesus, Jimmy, he said, I didn't do it again. He said, I know, once was nearly once too often. But anyway, we had a great reception, as you know, all over the country. And it was a massive gamble from 66 to 1 down. Like, I am not a gambler myself. If I had a tenner on a house, he'd want to be nearly past the post. But anyway, Mike Fuller was an unbelievable gambler, and he backed him at 66 to 1. He won over, I think, $1 million sterling on him himself. I'm nearly sorry to say, I think he gave a lot of it back, but anyway, if not all of it, but anyway, that's his own business. There was the last horse Mike Fuller actually had with me, but some of the syndicate came back, and they gave me a horse called Whinstone Boy to train. And I went on to win the Thyestes Chase with him. And no, we had great days. And look, we came back here to Conna with Montys Pass, and the reception was unbelievable. And we, I done an awful lot of charity work with Montys Pass. You know, I remember we went up to Marymount Hospice, and there was a race down in Cork for him. Not for him, for Marymount Hospice, not for Montys Pass, for Marymount Hospice. And it raised a lot of money for some machine they wanted to buy. And we spent the whole day there. Tara Flynn, the girl that works for me here, and all the patients were brought out, and they had photographs taken with him. And I remember we were just going away, and next thing a nurse runs out. She says, there's 2 patients after waking up. She said, look, there's no need to take him out. We'll get a photograph just outside the house box. Listen, I said, we've all day, I said. We'll take him out, I said. And he captured the imagination of all the people down south, really, you know. And he was a great. If it was brighter there now, I'd show you. We have a little headstone to him outside, and he lived to be, in human terms, he nearly lived to be 100. In human, and he was the horse with a bad heart. I do a lot of breeding, and only for that keeps a bit of money flowing. No, it's not all sunshine, as I told you there. You'll have losses while you'll have livestock, you'll have dead stock, and there's nothing you can do about it. And usually there's always nearly the good one will go, you know. You could have an old one down, but geez, you'll say, she's breeding nothing. She won't die, you needn't worry about her. I love the old pedigrees, you know, but if they go a bit dead, for first dam breeds nothing, second dam breeds nothing, you're getting a little bit far away. When you go up to the sales, you won't make the big money that you'd like to. You know, you must have black type close up if you can, you know. Look, that's, in my opinion, in National Hunt, probably more so on the flat. I know nothing about the flat. Jane advises me there. I absolutely know nothing about the flat. Everything has gone French mad now. If you had a French bred donkey above at the sales, at the Land Rover sales, or the Derby said, a French bred donkey, dead fucking buy him. And Jesus, Paddy will go up with his horse, and no. And I always say to fellas, listen, I said, you can have your French horses, but when they'll breed here as good as Down, they can be talking then. She won a champion hurdle. She won a Cheltenham Gold Cup. And if Paddy Mullins had his way, you wouldn't know where she'd have ended up. He didn't want to go to France. And anyway, the owners paid the bills, and that's it. And Paddy's son Willie has great luck with the French. No, he's great luck with anything. I think the man is one of the best trainers in the world, really. You know, flat on jumps, it doesn't matter. He'll get the best out of them. But French, they're not bad horses, but give me an Irish fella any day. You know, I think the stallions that are standing now for National Hunt, the likes of Crystal Ocean, you know, geez, they were super race horses. They get the right dams, they'll breed them. Yeah. So Mary was only in the road, really. You know, we must always be hunting around here together and everything, and next thing we got married, and actually the day we got married, Father Mercy Jerry O'Neill had a hotel in Fermoy. John Joe's brother Jerry, lovely gentleman, Jerry knew Jerry well, and his wife Monica, great people, and so I had the reception there. I wouldn't pass Jerry at the time, no way, and we had a carriage, and the carriage driver was John Joe himself. John Joe drove in through the town of Fermoy, right to the door of the hotel. I always said to John Joe, look, I said, if you don't make it as a trainer, you'll do as a carriage driver. You know, you get a job down in Killarney driving the carriage. But anyway, he went on to be successful, and his family had the same, brilliant. But we had three in family, twin boys. Patrick was a good rider. He went up to Edward O'Grady's, and he was champion condition. But he seemed to lose interest, and mad for long distance driving tractors. I always knew from an early age, if you put a horse there and a tractor there, it's the tractor he'd go up, you know. So I kind of knew I was in trouble there. But anyway, he went off. He drives an awful lot for Ballinroad Transport, and there's a man over the road, and there's a big sawmill, Jerry O'Keefe, and he drives an awful lot for him. So really, he has a brood mare too, and he is, as the fellow says, he has Mickey Mouse interest in the horses. The other chap then is a big, strong fella. He's a farrier, and he as a hunter, he goes hunting and everything like that. But none of them have real interest in the race horses until Jane came along. I remember Jane was going getting a license, and I said, Jesus, to her mother, don't get a license for her. She'll get hurt. Don't. Anyway, they went behind me back, and they got a license. And she was pretty successful, as you know, and we were just so, and I would like to train a win on Cheltenham, hopefully someday. And we nearly had a win on Cheltenham, and unfortunately, Oscar Delta, they didn't tie the tape right to the corner. They tied it a little bit in, and he saw the gap, and he just ducked for the gap, and off she came. And I didn't. I remember going out in the course, and I said to Jane, don't be disappointed. I said, you're fine. The main thing is you're okay yourself. And poor John Thomas got injured the day before. And I said, look, we'll think of the McNamara family. We'll be fine. And I remember eating a bag of chips, sitting down by myself. And Michael O'Leary comes up and he hits me in the back. He said, Jimmy, don't be disappointed. He said, I'll give your daughter good rides. And I said, you will know. And I thought that was the end of it. But just true to his word, he did. And he got her going again. And she rode lots of winners for Michael O'Leary, Geeganstown. And next thing, after a while, she just, she was pretty good. She damn it well, gave her the big winner in Galway. And the next thing she said, she was giving it up. Oh, Jesus, I said, don't give it up. I didn't want her to start, but I didn't want her to give up then. Couldn't please me, really. But anyway, she knew what she wanted, really. And next thing, she gave up, and that was it. And thankfully, Robbie Evan, she was doing the radio with Robbie Evan, and she ventured away into the television slowly then, and she, she's hardly ever at home now. She's over back to England and doing racing TV and RT, and and she's loving every minute of it, and I'm back where I started, the wife and myself. But we're happy out, that's the main thing. A few point, there's not as many as before. The whole scene has changed. A rider now, would hardly carry a stick now, only a mobile phone. So there's no such thing as an all-weather gallop before. But saying that, had to beat the old hill, the messing Joe Crowley, Joseph was training there now, and you can see he's getting the results, and people that hadn't bits of hills put in hills, and there's no doubt if you had to go for a little run yourself around the flat field, you'd fly around, but when you face the hill, different job. It's all. But saying that horses are fed different now, before oats and hay, and if a horse couldn't win races and that, get rid of him, he's no bloody good. No, there's more supplements and nuts and, oh Jesus, stuff, I don't know. Look, at the end of the day, if the engine isn't in them, it doesn't matter what you put into them. Some horses are mothered as 4-year-olds, they're not they're not mature enough. So if you're really going buying a horse for 4-year-old races, you really want to be buying him as a 2-year-old. And do a bit with him and let him off and bring him in and do a bit again. But Jesus, they comes down off in the sail, straight on, broken, galloped, small bit of grass, back and ready for the first 4-year-old. And it's, look, I'd say that, the joints and knees and, all the troubles you get with horses, he's bound to tell on young horses. The scrappy sheep is bound, there's bound to be old horses missed. Because we're the old trainers, Tom Drapers, all these people, Paddy Slaters, they're all fools. They believe in giving a horse a bit of time. But I'm afraid all them owners are dead and buried, gone. The men that will give a horse time now are scarce. Now, pay dues to J.P. McManus. If he has a horse, and if the trainer says to him, look, you have a nice horse, he wants a bit of time, that'll be fine. But you tell all the owners, I remember I told the man here one day, look, you have a grand horse, but he wants a small bit of time. We're better off now to take him home and give him a chance, and he'll come and feed him away every day. He put him into the box, but he put him away into another yard, and I said, me, man, no, you'll keep your mouth shut now the next time. That's the way it goes, Yeah. Well, it was, look, my father was great friends with Francis Flood, Paddy Slater, Tony Redmond, Paddy Mullins. Like if you could pick up what they knew, and like Willie has picked it up, because Paddy Mullins was a genius. I remember one day blowing Tullis, and I happened to be standing beside him, and my father knew him, that's how I barely got to know Paddy Mullins. But next thing, this horse pulled up on soft ground below Tullis when they broken down, lame. And he says to me, where did he run last? He said. I said he ran in Punchestown. Ah, yeah, he said, yeah. That's where he got that now. He said, he didn't get that here today, he said. And the funny about tendons, you can scan them, and they're perfect. And by Jesus, whatever the crisis would be, the last gallop out of the race, if you're after running them on unsuitable hard ground, then they'll go. Yeah, and you could be after getting thousands for them. And it so often happens there, pointers, I think, on real hard ground, I'd be slow if I had an order for one of them if he ran on hard ground. I wouldn't be in a rush buying him, I can tell you that. No way. I did love the bank races, but I don't bother because there's no one around here now to ride over banks. And luckily enough, above and knocking out, I had last year, the first bank race, and it was a great success. Well done to Jimmy O'Leary, who owns the Knockanal racecourse and the Avenue Point. They staged, and the horse that won it went on to win in Punchestown, which was brilliant. And but I have nothing for banks, And if I had, I'd know I'd find anybody to ride over them, It's a different game now, and that's the way it goes. Yeah. I suppose it's here 82. I'd say it's here 30 years now, I'd say. maybe more. So we've had some great horses here. I think Life of a Lord won down there, and Montys Pass won his maiden there. Aidan O'Brien rode there. You know, there was some great. I remember the early days, you asked me about crowds. One of the early days of the Pints down in Tallow. I remember because you come out the far gate to go to Kilkenny, Waterford, on that way you come out this way to go to Cork. And I remember looking at the gate going out. My God, it reminded me of below in Thurles of a Munster final. The crowd that was going out the gate, there was cars all the way up the road. The fields were full of cars. All gone. That's all gone. You know, nobody would hardly leave until the last race. Now, the 4-year-old races ran. The 5-year-old is ran. After the third race, you see people going out the gate, going home. Different. They're happy enough now. The crowds are gone, going to the bars. The village used to be lined before. But now they still do okay, the local ones. But with drinking and driving now, people don't stop and they can't. So unless you're a driver, you can, you know. Yeah. Big changes. Every committee is doing their best. And I would say maybe to the Tough Club, be more helpful to the Pint committees, because I'm joined a few Pint committees around here. One of the reasons I have the Pint below here in my own place, the industry has been good to me and I'd like to give something back, you know. But I go to the meetings now, and really and truly, a lot of the meetings, I'm nearly the youngest fella. It's like Dad's Army, really, you know. And it's so hard to get people, especially if a bad day, to do stewarding at fences and to do traffic, and fellas that drive through you, the lads on the road trying to collect a few bob. Jesus. And to surprise you, the times fellas have said to me on the road, Jesus, that fella drove through me, he didn't pay at all. And who do it? The fellas wouldn't be short of a bob. But look, it takes all kinds to make a world, you know, and that's the way life goes. You know, before, I know a fella known, he'd always be getting a spin to the races and he'd have plenty of money. And he'd say to the fella, he'd be with, stop here now. Me man would say, what? I'm getting out here. And he crossed the fucking field. It's if he'd cross the river, he'd nearly swim across to get in for night. You know. But look, you have them fellas and that's the way it goes, you know. But no, they're very few. Look, they're very few. Most people are brilliant. And sponsorship, they're great people. The small businesses and everything, they still, you don't have to ask a second time. And I always say to the lads and support the bloody sponsors at all costs. If you're buying anything, let them be a bit dearer. Going into these supermarkets and, all right, you asked him for anything, they'll be looking to, or I'd have to ask the manager, and the manager will put you on, and you'll have as much in your pocket as going in as you had coming out, you know. As the fellow says, I'm in the home straight, I'd say, really. But I would love to train a winner in Cheltenham if I could. But it's not the end of the world. If I don't, we have a few nice horses, and I was second in Punchestown now for JP McManus. He's a big horse, and he's a nice horse. And he's, you know, if I could place him right and train him right and keep him healthy, who'd never know, we could strike again. But I'm very grateful to JP and his family, Noreen, his wife, and they bred this horse, and hopefully I can keep him sound and safe, and whatever happens then, and that's the way it goes, you know.